The hip-hop community is reeling right now. News has just broken that Detroit rapper T. Grizzley has officially been sentenced, and the phrase everyone keeps repeating is "goodbye forever." Fans are stunned. Social media is flooded with disbelief. And the details of this shocking verdict have left even those closest to him speechless. For years, T. Grizzley has been celebrated as one of hip-hop's most authentic voices, a man who turned his pain, survival, and raw street stories into chart-topping success. From First Day Out to Satish, his music carried both the scars and the wisdom of someone who had seen it all. But now, it seems those same streets that built him have finally come back to haunt him in the most devastating way possible. Reports suggest that the sentencing stems from a long and complicated investigation, one that's been quietly unfolding behind the scenes. And now that the gavel has fallen, insiders are calling it one of the most emotional courtroom moments in hip-hop history. Family members were reportedly in tears as the judge delivered the final decision. Some say T. Grizzley tried to keep his composure, while others describe a man who knew his freedom was slipping away. Fans are left wondering what really went wrong, and whether there's more to this story than the headlines are telling. Because if what's being reported is true, this could truly be the end of an era for T. Grizzley. The courtroom was silent. Cameras were banned, reporters were pushed to the back. And the only sound that could be heard was the faint ticking of a clock on the wall. T. Grizzley, once one of Detroit's proudest sons and one of hip-hop's most consistent voices, sat at the defendant's table with his head bowed low, hands clasped, waiting for the judge to speak. The tension in the room was suffocating. Moments later, the judge leaned forward, shuffled the papers in front of him, and began to speak. "Mr. Grizzley," he said in a measured tone, "given the evidence presented before this court, and considering your prior record, it is the decision of this court that you be sentenced to." The rest of the sentence was drowned out by a gasp from the back row, where a group of Grizzley's family members sat in disbelief. His mother wiped tears from her eyes, while his friends sat frozen in shock. The verdict was clear: T. Grizzley was going away. And for a long time, this wasn't supposed to be how his story ended. For years, T. Grizzley had been seen as one of the few rappers who managed to rise from the trenches of Detroit, turn his pain into power, and build something lasting. From his breakout anthem First Day Out to his collaborations with legends like Lil Durk and Meek Mill, his music told the story of redemption, the story of a man who fought to escape his past. But somewhere along the line, things started to fall apart. Those close to Grizzley say the last 2 years have been filled with quiet tension. Behind the fame and money, he was fighting battles that fans didn't see: legal issues, personal struggles, and a growing circle of people who didn't always have his best interests at heart. Sources claim that federal investigators had been watching him for months, tracing transactions, phone calls, and movements that eventually became the foundation of their case. According to early reports, T. Grizzley was connected to a series of financial irregularities and alleged activities that prosecutors claimed violated federal law. Some of it, they argued, dated back years, even before his mainstream fame, while the details remain sealed in parts of the case file. Prosecutors painted a picture of a man who, despite fame and success, couldn't fully leave his old world behind. But not everyone is convinced. Many of his fans, and even some insiders from the industry, believe that T. Grizzley was being targeted. They've been waiting for this. One Detroit artist said on Instagram Live, "Grizzly's too powerful, too smart, and too connected. They don't like seeing someone from the hood make it out and move, right?" And there's some truth to that sentiment. Over the years, T. Grizzley became a symbol of survival and success. He wasn't flashy in the same way others were. He was grounded, real, and deeply tied to his roots. He spoke openly about his past, his time in prison, his mistakes, and his determination to build a better life. That's why this moment feels so tragic. When the news of his sentencing broke, social media exploded. Within minutes, #FreeTGRIZZLay started trending across platforms. Fans shared old clips of him talking about second chances, about growth, about turning pain into purpose. Others revisited his music, especially the haunting lyrics of Satish, a song dedicated to his late aunt and manager, who was tragically killed in 2019. That loss changed him, and many believe it marked the beginning of a slow, emotional decline that led to this point. He never really healed, a close friend said quietly outside the courthouse. He put on a brave face for the fans, but behind closed doors, he was hurting. Losing his aunt broke him. She was the one who kept him grounded. And now, that same pain seems to have come full circle. Inside the courtroom, Grizzley reportedly spoke before his sentencing. In a low, steady voice, he thanked his fans and family for standing by him. "I ain't perfect," he said, "but I always tried to do right. I came from nothing and I tried to make something out of my story. I ain't here to make excuses. Whatever comes next, I'ma face it head on." His words struck a chord with everyone in the room. Even the judge seemed momentarily softened by his honesty. But the reality of the situation didn't change. The sentence was final. As officers approached to escort him away, Grizzley turned briefly toward his mother. She mouthed something, a prayer, maybe, or a promise. He nodded once, his jaw tight, and then he was gone. Outside, reporters swarmed, trying to piece together details of the case. Some claimed he'd been facing potential charges for months, while others suggested this outcome was part of a larger federal sweep, targeting figures in the entertainment industry. No one knows for sure yet. But what's clear is that this wasn't just another courtroom headline. It was the fall of a man who once stood for redemption itself. Meanwhile, his fans are refusing to give up hope. Detroit's community is rallying online, calling for transparency and support. Other artists have spoken up as well. Meek Mill, who's no stranger to the system, posted, "We stand with T. This system don't love us. They just wait for us to slip." Lil Durk echoed the sentiment, writing, "Hold ya head, bro. Ain't over till God say it's over." It's moments like these that remind everyone how fragile success can be, how quickly the same system that celebrates you can turn around and take it all away. For now, Grizzley's team has not issued a detailed statement beyond confirming his sentencing and asking fans for prayers. They've hinted that there may be an appeal, but for now, the rapper's future remains uncertain. From the streets of Detroit to sold-out shows across the country, Grizzley's rise was nothing short of inspirational. But now, as he faces years behind bars, fans are left wondering, was this truly justice, or another case of a talented man trapped by circumstances beyond his control? Whatever the truth is, one thing's for sure: this story isn't over. The world outside the courtroom felt like a storm. Fans crowded the streets of downtown Detroit, cameras flashing as word spread that Grizzley had just been sentenced. Nobody expected it to end like this. Not for a man who had rebuilt his life in front of millions, who had once stood as the very image of perseverance. Social media went into overdrive. Clips from First Day Out began circulating again, the same song that marked his triumphant return from prison years ago. The irony was painful. The lyrics that once symbolized freedom now echoed a haunting reminder of how fragile that freedom truly is. First day out, now it's the last day in. One fan wrote under an old video of him performing live, "We watched him grow, change, and fight for everything he had, and now this." For many, this wasn't just about Grizzley, it was about what he represented. A kid from Detroit who came from the streets, made it big, and tried to uplift his people. His success was their success. And now, seeing him fall again hit too close to home. But as emotional as the public reaction was, behind the scenes, there was an entirely different story playing out. Insiders began leaking details about what might have led to his downfall. According to sources close to the case, investigators had been following a paper trail connected to several financial dealings linked to Grizzley's business ventures. While he had officially expanded into gaming, real estate, and even online streaming, authorities claimed that some of these activities involved individuals already under federal investigation. In short, Grizzley may have been caught in the crossfire. This wasn't about him directly. One unnamed insider told the source. He was in business with people who had dirt on them. And when the feds started digging, they found links that tied back to his name. Whether or not he actually did anything wrong, that's still unclear. The words "still unclear" have become the heart of this entire case. Fans believe T was blindsided, a casualty of association. But prosecutors didn't see it that way. In their statements, they emphasized that Grizzley was a key figure in what they called a network of financial misconduct. They accused him of allowing certain operations to run under his name, allegedly using his fame as a shield. Grizzly's lawyers, however, denied these claims entirely, calling them overblown, circumstantial, and speculative. Yet, when the federal government builds a case, it's rarely simple. They had months of surveillance, reports, and witness statements. And in the end, that mountain of evidence was enough to convince the court. Still, not everyone is convinced that justice was truly served. "I've seen this happen before," said one veteran rapper during an Instagram Live. "They let you build your empire. And the minute you get too independent, too powerful, they find a reason to bring you down. T ain't no saint, but he didn't deserve this." Even Joe Budden and Charlemagne Thaw God weighed in on their podcast, questioning whether the punishment fit the crime. "It feels like they made an example out of him," Joe said. "You can't tell me there's no racial bias or social pressure behind cases like this. They see a black man winning on his own terms, and suddenly the system remembers his past." Meanwhile, those close to T. Grizzley say he's keeping his head high. His manager released a short statement that read, "T is strong. He's been through worse and came out better. This is not the end. It's another test." But his loved ones are taking it hard. His mother, who once served time herself, knows the pain all too well. "It's a cycle," she said tearfully in a local interview. "You do everything to keep your child away from that life, and somehow it still finds them." And she's not wrong. For many artists who come from environments like Detroit's West Side, escaping the system completely is almost impossible. T often talked about that in his interviews, about how success didn't erase the past. "When you come from where I come from, it's like you still gotta pay for stuff you did, even when you're trying to do right," he once said. "People don't let go of your past. They just wait to remind you." That quote has now resurfaced everywhere. It's being shared across platforms as a chilling reminder of how prophetic his words were. But there's another twist. Rumors have started circulating that the sentence may have been influenced by someone within his own circle, a cooperating witness who allegedly gave prosecutors key information. While there's no solid confirmation of this claim, fans have been quick to speculate. Threads on Reddit and Twitter are full of theories pointing fingers at former associates who may have turned against him in exchange for lighter sentences or immunity. If true, it would explain the federal confidence in securing a conviction. It would also mean that T. Grizzley wasn't just battling the system, he was betrayed from within. For now, though his legal team has promised to appeal, we believe there were procedural errors and a lack of sufficient evidence to warrant such a severe sentence. His lawyer said, "We're preparing to fight this decision with everything we have." But appeals take time, sometimes years. And during that time, T. Grizzley will remain behind bars. The reaction from the hip-hop community has been overwhelming. Artists like Big Sean, Cash Doll, and even 42 Doug have shared messages of solidarity. "Detroit stands with you," Doug wrote. "They can't cage the spirit." Meanwhile, fans have been organizing fundraisers and petitions, hoping to raise awareness about his case. One fan-led campaign called #Justice for Grizzley already has over 100,000 signatures. Its mission: to demand transparency about the evidence that led to his conviction. What's most striking, though, is how T. Grizzley's story has sparked a larger conversation about the system itself, about how easily success can be stripped away, and how thin the line is between redemption and ruin. Because the truth is, T. Grizzley was never just a rapper. He was a symbol of hope, a man who turned his life around, gave back to his city, and inspired others to do the same. That's why so many people are struggling to accept what's happening now. This hurts because he was trying to do right. One fan tweeted, "You could see it. You could hear it in his music. He wasn't pretending to be perfect. He was trying to be better." And maybe that's why this case hit so hard, because T. Grizzly's story isn't just his own. It's a reflection of what happens when the system never truly forgives. As part 2 of this story closes, one question remains. What really led to this downfall? Was it bad decisions, betrayal, or something far bigger than anyone realizes? In part 3, we'll dig deeper into the unseen footage, the reactions from inside the jail, and T. Grizzly's final message before his sentencing, one that's leaving fans around the world in tears. The courtroom felt like a slow, collapsing heartbeat. Every sound echoed the shuffle of paper, the squeak of a shoe, the soft click of a pen against a table. But when the judge finally began reading T. Grizzly's sentence, time itself seemed to stop. The words were sharp, deliberate, and heavy, the kind that don't fade easily. Even when the echo dies out, T stood there, hands folded, eyes locked on the floor. For a moment, it looked like he was somewhere else, maybe back in Detroit. Maybe remembering the nights he spent writing verses about pain and redemption. Maybe thinking about his family. The silence in that courtroom wasn't fear, it was grief. Because everyone knew what was coming, but no one wanted to believe it. No one wanted to believe it. When the sentence hit, the years, the fines, the restrictions, his mother gasped. His brother turned away. His lawyer whispered something that sounded like hope but fell apart halfway through the sentence. The judge's voice, calm but distant, felt more final than any gunshot, any headline, any diss track. And T didn't flinch. He just nodded slowly, lips pressed tight, as if accepting that this was the price for everything he built. Every risk he took, every choice that came back to haunt him. Outside the courthouse, chaos erupted. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions like, "Bullets, T, do you have anything to say? Was it worth it? What's next for you?" But he didn't say a word. He just looked up at the gray sky and took one deep breath before being led away. Inside, his closest friends were breaking down. They couldn't process it. The same man who'd survived so much, outsmarted so many odds, was being taken away in chains again. It didn't feel real. Some called it injustice. Some called it karma. But everyone agreed on one thing. This moment would change the culture. Fans online were already losing their minds. The hashtag free TGRIZZLay started trending within minutes. Celebrities jumped in with support. Messages from Meek Mill, 21 Savage, even artists T had beef with before. It was like everyone suddenly remembered how much his story meant to hip-hop, the kid from Detroit who turned pain into purpose. But behind the scenes, people close to T said something darker was happening. They claimed this wasn't just about the charges, it was about people trying to make an example out of him. About how power and money move differently when the system has its eyes on you. And T knew that. He'd been saying it for years, that no matter how far he went, the past would always find a way to follow Dot. As the transport van pulled away from the courthouse, T sat in silence, staring out the small metal-meshed window. The city he loved was fading in the distance, the skyline he used to dream under, the blocks where he first rapped, the memories of those who believed in him. Everything looked the same, yet completely different. But then, something shifted. He leaned back, eyes closed, and whispered something to himself, words that no one around him could hear, but that meant everything. Maybe it was a prayer, maybe a promise, maybe both. Because the truth is, T. Grizzly's story was never just about fame or fortune. It was about fighting demons, the kind that follow you even after the lights come on. And even now, as the world writes him off, there's a sense that this isn't the end. That somehow, even from behind bars, T will find a way to turn this pain into purpose again. Back on social media, his fans were sharing clips from First Day Out, the very song that made him who he was. The lyrics hit differently now. "I'm free, but my mind's still trapped." It was like a prophecy, written years before this moment, now playing out in real life. Brooke, his longtime girlfriend, shared a message on Instagram: "They can lock his body, but not his soul." This ain't goodbye, it's just another verse in the story. The post went viral. Thousands of comments poured in, words of support, disbelief, heartbreak. Meanwhile, in Detroit, murals of T started appearing overnight, spray-painted tributes from fans and artists who grew up on his music. Street corners echoed with his voice. For a generation that saw him as a symbol of survival, this felt like losing one of their own. Weeks later, letters surfaced, written by T from inside. It wasn't long, but it was powerful. He thanked his supporters, apologized to his family, and promised he was still writing. "They can't stop the pen," he wrote. "If this my goodbye, it's only to the streets, not to the dream." That line alone broke the internet. Everyone was sharing it, from hip-hop blogs to motivational pages, because it reminded people that T's strength wasn't just in his words. It was in his will, so even though he's gone for now, the world's not done hearing from T. Grizzley. His story isn't finished, it's just paused. And when that pause finally ends, when his voice hits the mic again, it'll carry more truth, more pain, and more purpose than ever before. Because if there's one thing T. Grizzley's life has